Well, welcome everybody to How to Book Meetings with the brokers that you actually want. I think that this is something that's really important. I know it's something that we get asked about a lot. This is something that we work with our clients on a lot. And so I'm excited to share our number one strategy. This is our number one strategy for getting brokers to call you back if you are a solutions provider. So I'm super excited to be able to share this with you guys today. Okay, so as I communicated when we were sending emails out promoting this workshop, when we were posting to social media, this is not a theory session. This is going to be a live workshop. If you registered, you should have received a worksheet that you could have filled out ahead of time. It was just 3 questions, but those are going to be really important and really helpful for you. So you can go ahead and follow along with your worksheet if you would like. Again, just a couple of reminders here, like this is not a lecture. You are going to be building the foundation or framework for what you can use to reach out to brokers. So if you're a solutions provider, by the way, I'm going to give credit to my good friend Trevor Dare of Granite Peak Analytics. He is the one that got me to change my language. For the longest time, I was calling you all vendors, vendor partners, and one day, Trevor, who's been a great client of mine for, 5 years now, said to me, you know what? I just don't like that word. And I said, you know what, Trevor? I don't either. What should it be? And he said solutions provider. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You are a provider of great solutions to the broker community. So that's what you're going to hear me say for the remainder of the session. So thank you for being here, you solutions providers. And that includes TPAs, health systems, PBMs, PBM consultants, ancillary carriers, technology vendors, virtual care and solutions. My clients on this side of the house, so I work with agency owners and their sales teams, as well as solutions providers and their sales teams. So it kind of runs the gamut. I should say, by the way, if we haven't met, my name is Ryan James Miller. I know for most of you that I saw that registered, I was familiar with your name. Maybe you weren't familiar with mine. I've been fortunate enough to contribute positively to the benefits industry for the better part of the last 12 years, helping agencies and solutions providers build sales systems for their organization. So really to create repeatable processes so you can win the business that you want by attracting the right prospects, keeping them engaged until they're ready to say yes to you. That's part of what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so back to this, you're going to leave with something today. This is very, very practical. And from what you gain today, you should be able to build a strategy about how you can start setting appointments at a far greater capacity than you have in the past. I am absolutely confident in this strategy. This is the number one strategy that my clients that are solutions providers use to win over brokers. And by the way, I tell my broker clients that this is the strategy that I use with my solutions providers clients to win them over, and they all love it too. So this is not a secret. Okay. So there is a problem that I find in sales a lot, and that's blame shifting in the wrong directions. And this is not about you're the problem. This is about identifying the real problem so we can figure out how to diagnose it and then fix it. And so for solutions providers specifically, there are 3 things that I see that often come up as blamed problems for not landing appointments with brokers. And look at you guys, I understand and I am sensitive to the fact that as a solutions provider, man, you are up against a serious challenge because you don't get to sell to your end user. Most of you guys are trying to actually sell to the employer as well, but that broker stands in the way. They're running interference. They're managing the relationship. That's really hard to do when you are selling second or third hand. So I understand how challenging this is, and I want to help you to make that better. Okay, but for so many people, especially when I first engage with them, we first start working together again, whether it's with the business or with the individual sales professional, here are 3 things I hear. Oh, it's just not the right time. I'm using the wrong channel, or maybe I've got the wrong subject line in my email. And I want to address the second and third one first, because I think those are easy. First off, when it comes to subject line, um, it can be helpful, but I don't think a subject line is ever going to set an appointment for you. There are industries, there are businesses that is in fact the case. I don't think you're one of them, at least not on the regular. When it comes to wrong channel, I do think that many sales professionals get stuck using one channel, and that oftentimes is either email or social, because those are the easiest in terms of they require the least amount of our effort. And on top of that, they reduce the level of personal rejection significantly. But I think that that's a mistake when you're just defaulting to those channels. We have a whole nother system that we've built called the 1440. It's a 14-touch, 40-day sequence that we install in all of our clients' sales systems to ensure that they have the highest chance of setting that first appointment. But we're using at least 6 channels. And so if you're using 1 or 2, you're definitely not using enough. But that's not the reason you're not setting appointments. Timing. Timing is definitely an issue. Obviously, a lot of decisions that employers are making are around renewal time. And so you get thrown into that bucket. We make the decision to change our vendors around renewal time too. Or maybe the broker's busy and so they just don't have the time for it. Those are all possibilities, but they are not the real reason. I'm going to get to that real reason in a minute here, but I just want you to trust me, please. We have successfully worked with hundreds of solutions providers to help change the way that they're selling. And I believe we can help you too if you just listen to this. And by the way, what I'm going to be teaching here in a few minutes is worth way more than the 47 bucks. I think it was 47 bucks, the 47 bucks that we charged you. So just know that you got this one on the cheap. Okay. So, I want to help you understand that your goal is to answer a question that the broker has not yet asked you. This is not a problem of mechanics, it's a problem of messaging. The good news though, you guys, is messaging is a fixable problem. So it's not subject line, it's not timing, it's messaging, but it's a specific message and a specific way that you present that message that is the difference in you setting or not setting appointments with your broker clients. And I think that's who you want to set appointments with. Okay. This is the only question that matters. And this is the question that you often haven't asked because you just haven't thought about it. Or maybe you have, and you're just not getting the answer you want. And I'm going to show you how to shift that strategy a little bit so you can start getting the answer that you want. The only question that matters to a broker is, how does this help me win more business? How does this help me win? I don't care how many bells and whistles you have. I don't care how fast it is. I don't care how smart it is. I don't care how much AI is built into your system. As a matter of fact, for most brokers, even the good ones, they don't immediately default to, I care how much money I'm going to save my client. I care how much better healthcare delivery I'm going to provide to my client. They care about that stuff, you guys, but the thing they care more about, and this is not just because they're greedy, this is just the reality of the situation. They care most about you helping them to win. They care about whether or not you can help them to grow their book of business. I mean, think about this. One of the most common messages that I see a solutions provider communicate to a broker is, hey, we've got this amazing widget. Let me look at your book of business. Let me do an evaluation and I'll help you to understand where we can provide value. Or give me your most challenging cases. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. No broker in their right mind is going to give you access to one of their clients until they trust you a lot. until they know you well, until they like you a whole bunch. You are asking your prospects to give you access to their most prized possession, which is their book of business. No wonder why you have such a hard time winning more business. It's like a financial, I don't know, somebody that sells financial services going to you and saying, hey, let me see your bank statements. You ain't doing that real quick. You're going to vet that person out. You're going to want a deep understanding of who they are, what they're all about, and if they can actually help you or not before you decide to do that. The same thing applies here. And you may be saying to yourself, well, Ryan, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show them how much I can help them. Well, the number one way that you can help them is to help them grow their book of business. Not to fix their existing book of business, to grow their existing book of business. I'm going to share a story with you in a few minutes that is going to articulate this in a real life situation that I think is going to be really helpful for you. And by the way, this is going to work for their existing book of business too, but it's almost like using some psychological mind tricks in a good way. I don't believe in manipulating people, but I do believe that we've got to figure out how to say certain things in such a way that gets them to do what we want them to do. And this is what we're trying to do here. We are trying to help them win so we can win too. So let's start off. This is the beginning of the core strategy, and this is something that hopefully, if you started filling out your worksheet, you were considering. But the first thing that you need to do, so there's three components to this. The third one is going to be where we build this all out. But if you have your worksheet, if you have printed out your worksheet, if you filled out part of your worksheet, I know most of you didn't. There's a lot of you on this call. The mass majority of you didn't do this because you just didn't. Anyway, pull out your worksheet. Here's what I want you to think about. Do you know specifically who your prospects are trying to win? Do you know beyond a shadow of a doubt who your broker prospect's ideal client profile is? Do you know who the employers are in their marketplace that they want to win more? We may not know specifics, but we can get there if we're really smart about it. But let's just start with this. We've got to start off by understanding the answers to these three questions. The first one is, what size organization are they after? Now, for some of you, you're like, I only work in this size. So it's like, okay, well then make sure that the broker only works in that size too. But think about the broker's prospects. What is the size group that they commonly work on and they're looking to continue to pursue? How many employees is that? How many locations do they have? What revenue size do they have? By the way, this is going to be helpful when I share with you a strategy around how we're going to find more of this for our prospects here in a few minutes. So just go with me. But we want to start off by understanding size. So again, how many employees, locations, what's the revenue size of the organization that broker is targeting? 2, what industry do they niche into? What industry do they prefer working with? What industry have they produced the best outcomes for? Manufacturing, tech, healthcare, education, what is it? Nonprofit, logistics, what is it? What industry does your broker's prospects most live in? And then thirdly, what is the profile of the client that they're trying to win over? The type of employer that they want to work with, not just the size, not just the industry, but what types of employers do they want to work with? Do they operate in a certain way? Do they have a specific set of values? What is it about the clients that they work with that the broker loves to work with? Like, what is it about those employers that makes the broker want to work with more of them? So if you don't know the answer to that question, if you're not 100% certain because you haven't done enough research on your prospect, here is one thing that you can do right now. And I wasn't even going to include this, but I think this is something that, so here's bonus number one. What I would recommend that you do as you're doing research on your brokers that you want to work with is that you go to your favorite 5500 research tool. And by the way, obviously this is only going to work for large group. If it's small group, you're going to have a hard time finding this data. But if you have brokers that are working in large group and you too want to work in the large group, you have to file a 5500, right? Public filing. Then go to your favorite tool, Zywave. I used to say MyEdge, but now it's one and the same. Employer, which we partner with. There's a few of them out there. And I want you to search your broker prospects agency. And I want you to look at the types of clients that they work with. From there, you should be able to understand. Obviously, you're going to see some things all over the board, but you should see some similarities. You should see some commonalities. How many employees they have, how many locations they have, the revenue size they are, what industries that they're in, and maybe even some of the types of companies they work for. Now, MyEdge or Employer, Zywave or Employer aren't going to show those things, but you are going to take the top 5 or 10 current clients that your broker prospect is working with that fit into the industry that you also would work good in. And then you're going to go research those companies, not the broker, the companies, to figure out if there's some commonalities between the two. By the way, in the day and age that we're in now with AI, I don't have time to do this, but if you are using Claude Cowork or you are using Manus, there are AI tools out there. These are things that we work with our clients on when we're consulting with them. But there are tools out there that will do all this research for you to find out the answers to all these questions so you can build a really good profile for your own target client. But again, that's going to have to be left for another day because we just don't have the time for that. But that's what we do when we consult. That's what we do in our agency and advisor relationships. Our advisor and producer relationships. And it's also what we do in our cohorts. We teach them how to leverage AI. It's called our force multiplier. It's how to leverage AI to do better the things we already do pretty good. Okay, so we need to know who our broker prospects are trying to win over. That's number one. This is still pretty obvious. You've probably done this a lot. So again, this is not this is not the magic. The magic is coming. Okay, here is the beginning of where the magic starts. A beginning of where it starts. That doesn't make sense, but you get it. Okay. Step 2 of this core strategy is to connect your product or service to their winning outcome. Right in the middle of the screen, I want you to see this question because this is it. If the broker used what I sell, what you sell, if the broker used what I sell, what employer group could they win that they are struggling to win right now? That was worth $470, not just $47. Just that. And we're not even close to starting to build. If the broker could use your product or your service to win more, I'm going to illustrate this twice. This works. But if the broker could use your product or service to go win more business, to go win more of the groups that they're struggling to win, to go take them away from the agencies that they want to steal business from, win business from. Who is that? You guys, you need to stop leading with your product. We have the fastest tool out there. We have the most cost savings. Do you think they really care? Even if they do, they really don't, which is why you're not getting enough callbacks. Which is why you're not getting enough appointments, which is why you're doing demos and presentations and you're not getting called back in, which is why you're getting near the finish line and you are not closing deals. It's because you're leading with your stuff, not with theirs. We have got to do a better job with leading with what winning for the broker looks like. And I know what you're going to say because I've heard it so many times from my clients. But Ryan, I am leading with the 3 things that we can do for their book of business. And I'm like, that's the problem. They don't want you to touch their book of business yet. It's going to get there. But sometimes we got to do the hard work before we can get to the easy work. Stop pitching features. Start offering a path to victory. Every single broker, just like you, just like me, wakes up every morning. And one of the things, if we've had a good night's sleep, or even if we've not, this kept us up all night, but one of the things we wake up and think about is, man, how can I win? I think about that every day. I'm sure you do. That's why you're here. You want to win more brokers over. They want to win more employers over. Can you imagine if you could say to them, I've got a way to help you win more new business? We're going to get more specific than this, but we're going. This is it, you guys. This is the beginning of it. If you're not paying attention yet, this is where you start paying attention. And by the way, if you like what I'm saying, if you pick up what I'm throwing down, drop it in the chat. I mean, just a little attaboy, just a little amen, just a little woo-woo. This may be a platform that you're not used to using. The chat is right over there on your right-hand side of the screen. Just tell me I'm doing an okay job. Oh, I saw a thumb go up. Look at that. I didn't even know that there were reactions here. What's up to that? Thank you. You just made me feel a little bit better. And a smiley face. I don't know if you're laughing because I'm trying to beg for compliments, or maybe if you're smiling because you think it's really funny. Anyway, I love this stuff. All right. Thank you. Justin, buddy, I appreciate that I'm doing great. I thought so. Thanks, Phil. I appreciate it as well. All right, we're good. We're good. Okay, let's keep going. I don't want to make this too much about me. Okay. Oh, man. Okay, so I want to share a story with you guys before we get into this next stage, because this is where this was revealed to me for the first time. This is where I finally realized that I had something that I could offer to solutions providers that was going to change the way they did business. So one of my clients quite a few years ago was in the pharmacy consulting space. And he was struggling to win over the affection and attention of one specific broker. Now, there was quite a few that he was pursuing. There was quite a few that he was doing business with, so he was growing. It was pretty cool. But there was one specific agency that he really wanted to do business with. And it's crazy because they were my client too. The agency was my client. He was my client. I'm trying hard to get them together. And I hadn't figured this thing out yet. And so anyway, I see him get up on stage at a conference, my client, the pharmacy consulting business, and he does this incredible 45-minute or 1-hour talk. And as he's doing it, he is walking through a pharmacy contract. And as he's walking through this pharmacy contract, he is pointing out, I think it was 10, maybe it was 7, the 10 most vital errors that people make when engaging in a pharmacy contract. And again, I'm butchering some of this. That ain't my area of expertise. But I saw him present, and I saw people. There was hundreds of people in the room, and I saw all these people taking notes. They were just enamored at what he was sharing from the stage. And I mean, he gave them the gold. And they didn't even pay him. They paid to go to the conference, but like they were there listening, and they were getting his best stuff from the stage. And so he got down and he goes, how did I do? Like he came to me almost right away, and he wanted to know like how he presented. And I go, dude, you did a great job. I said, I just figured it out. He goes, you figured what out? I go, I figured out how we're going to win that agency over. And I figured out how we're going to go win a bunch more over too. And he goes, tell me. And I'm like, nope, soak this all in. Go get your congratulations. Like you did a really good job. We'll catch up after. That strategy that we put together opened the door to that agency for the first time ever. That strategy landed what has now been a 4-year contract with that agency. And that strategy has not single-handedly, but in large part led to him dominating in his niche. He is right now, he would say this. I wish I could bring him on the call because then I would say his name and I would show everything. But he recently sent me a message and he's like, man, I had to slow down sales efforts because we have more business than we know what to do with right now. And I'm like, that's it, dude. That is it. And again, it's not all because of the strategy, but this is a large, large catalyst to it. Okay, so step 3, and then we're going to build this out for you guys. I'm going to show you some examples of this. We've got about 30 more minutes to do this. Again, if you've got questions, anything that you want to ask, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them live. That's the benefit of you being here live, is you can ask questions. If you're on replay, you're not going to be able to do that. But again, these are the things that we do for our clients all day long. This is one of my favorite things to do, is come up with a unique strategy that will help my clients win more. By the way, see a theme here? That's what I'm teaching you to do too. All about helping other people win, because if we help enough other people win, we will win too. Okay, step 3 of this core strategy is working through these 4 steps. And I'm going to show you this in 2 specific examples, by the way, like live. I'm going to show you what to put into the message, how to message it, how to communicate. I'll share some examples of some value adds that you can put into there as well. Okay. When you build your outreach, I want you to build your outreach around each specific connection. Now, when we do this for our clients, we build a framework, which means it is a template of sorts that we create based upon their niche. And then we give them the ability through both our done with you support, as well as some AI tools that we've created, that we can customize it for any prospect in seconds. Okay, this is what it looks like. So we start off by opening on their world, not on our own. So typically we open up on what's working for us, on what's good for us. But let's start off by speaking about what they are already thinking about. Let's speak about what's keeping them up at night, which is what? How do I win more business? How do I generate more revenue? So that's what we open with. Number 2, we want to name the specific employer group. And I'm going to show you this again in just a few minutes here, but we want to name the specific employer group. We don't want to be generic. Oh, I've helped other manufacturing agencies or companies like or manufacturing agencies in Greenville, South Carolina, and we'd like to help some of yours too. No. We want to be specific. We want to name the prospect. And you may be saying to yourself, Ryan, how am I going to find this out? Well, let's go back to Zywave. Let's go back to MyEdge. Let's go back to the AI tools that are out there. I can look up a group that files a 5500 and I can see who their current broker is. And if their current broker is not my prospect, I'm reaching out to my prospect and I'm saying, hey, Bob's Insurance Agency, I happen to notice that I can make huge impacts in such and such employer, and you're currently not working with them. I've got a strategy that can help you win that business. Are you interested in talking more about it? Again, I'm going to show you this in a more polished way in just a second. But that's the idea. I'm going to look up employers on Employer, on Zywave, and Zoom Info maybe, but again, it's not going to get as much detail as you need for this specifically probably, because it's not going to show you who their current broker is, but you want to be specific. And again, you want to go back, by the way, if we're talking specificity, we want to go back to make sure that we hit on each of these 3 things. We want to make sure that we are showing them that we have been mindful of their target clients, so we know exactly who we're targeting on their behalf. And we also want to make sure our strategy is going to work. The third thing that we want to do is we want to connect our product. So you're like, Ryan, you said don't talk about products and services. No. We want to talk about how our product or service is their pathway to winning that group over. And then finally, we want to offer a low friction ask. We don't need to ask for demos. We don't need to ask for data. What we need to do is we need to ask for a growth conversation. So what I typically see is this on the left example of how solutions providers reach out. Hi, Johnny. I wanted to reach out because our platform helps benefits advisors deliver better outcomes for their clients. We work with agencies across the country, and I'd love to find 20 minutes to show you what we do. Are you available next week? Now, you may not be this generic, but I see these types of messages all the time. I don't even know what that says. What does that even mean? What value is that to me? You want me to give up 20 minutes of my time for somebody I don't know, for a product or service I don't know, in hopes that maybe you're going to tell me something about yourself that I really like? Heck no. I ain't got time for that. Most of the brokers, even if they do have time for that, are going to tell you they don't have time for that. But the better way to do this is to approach it with something like this. And again, I'm going to get more specific even than this, but hopefully you're following along so you can see how your product or service, how your organization fits into this framework. I help advisors win mid-market manufacturing groups most brokers struggle to crack. By the way, think about this. I've already said I help advisors with mid-market manufacturing groups, win mid-market manufacturing groups most brokers struggle to crack. So what have I done already? I've named an industry that they serve to start right out of the gate, and I've dangled a carrot in front of them because most brokers struggle to win these groups, but I show them how. If that broker is looking at that opening line and they're like, man, there's a couple groups I'm struggling to crack. Man, I wonder if this can really help me. They're like, oh, I'm going to keep reading. They don't delete yet. Okay. So what do they read next? The way they do that, this is talking about the broker, right? So the way the broker does that involves a pharmacy cost approach most employers in that space have never seen. This is where a lot of people stop when they try to do this. Then what I do is I drop 2 1 or 2 line ideas right into the email, right into the voicemail. You can also leave this as a voicemail. It works perfectly. Idea 1, idea number 2. I believe this strategy could help you to win John's Plumbing. Wait a minute. You just named a prospect in my marketplace that I don't currently work with. Oh, you've actually done a little bit of research. Is that worth a 20-minute conversation to you? Even if you don't get an immediate call back or an email response, this is the anchor. And I say anchor because this is part of our 1440 strategy, 14 touches, 40 days. We integrate this into our 1440 outbound strategy for every single one of our solutions providers clients, and it always comes at the front end. I am trying to hook them with something interesting that they actually care about. I can't get into all the ways that we take this and expand on it even farther across the additional 13 touches, but trust me when I tell you we create some of the best outbound copy that exists. And it's because we're speaking to what they need, and we're speaking off our own experience of how we've helped solutions providers, just like you on this call, to win more brokers over. So this is the framework that we use. Okay, I'm going to give you one more example here because this one was a banger. This one was so dope because I go out and do on-site workshops for clients a couple times a year. And so I'm out in Florida beginning of this year. I'm out in Florida and I'm spending 2 days with an amazing group of sales professionals for an organization that I was honored. This is the first time I got to serve them, was the workshop. We're now in a ongoing engagement. I work with their team a couple times a month. We do training and development for them, individual coaching for their team. The head of sales is a dear friend of mine. Anyway, so I'm out there doing this workshop. And I'm teaching them all this stuff. I'm teaching them about ideal client profiles. I'm teaching them about how to get first appointments, how to stay engaged once you have the first appointment, but you're trying to get the next one. We're talking about some AI tools and resources, using centers of influence to create more opportunity, all these things. And we're getting to the very end of the second day, and one of the guys works with really large cases, like really, really large cases. They're a virtual care provider, one of the many things they do. And he's like, man, I just, like, the buyer, he's actually a friend of mine. I can't even get him to call me. And I'm like, all right, I want you to try this. And so this was the second day of the workshop. I want you to try this. And he's like, all right, I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a whirl, and I'm going to see what happens. And so I forget what day that was. I get on an airplane the next morning to fly back to Southern California, and I'm in the air and I'm checking my email, and I get an email for him. And the subject line in the email said something to the effect of, like, you're not going to believe this. And I'm like, whoa, like what? He got an appointment with this group that he couldn't get back to him, because he repositioned the message. He had been over and over and over again drilling at this prospect all the ways that he could better serve their book of business, all the ways in which he was different than his competition, all the ways in which they should work with. And he turns it around, and instead he says, I think I have a way to show you how you can grow that book of business. I mean, it was such a good look for me. I mean, they paid for like a whole year's engagement closing that deal. So I was super pumped on that. Absolutely, for sure. But it works. It works, and it's so freaking simple, you guys. Like, this is just, it's so simple, it's ridiculous. Let's just position our messaging around what they need the most, what they want the most, what they think about the most. So the good news here, this doesn't just work trying to win a new broker over for the first time. This works when you're trying to resurrect a deal that was just about dead. Love it. If you can tell, this stuff gets me really excited. Okay, let's walk through a couple of examples, because I want to help you guys think through how you can do this for yourself. Now, there's a lot of you on this call, which means there's a lot of different providers, a lot of different solutions providers. And so it's going to be different for every single one of you, but you're going to be able to get a gist of this. So on your worksheet, this is about what it looked like. Here's the questions. First one was, I asked you, like, who's your ideal broker? Who did you write down? Did you actually write one down? When you think of, many of you have many targets, but some of you, there are one or two specific ones. Man, you want to work with so bad, so bad. Who is it? Two, what type of employer group are they trying to win? What types of employers, what types of clients are they after? And then thirdly, how does your product or service actually help them to win? All you need to do is look at other wins you've had in ways in which your product or service has helped that employer, and you can create messaging. This is the whole idea, you guys. So again, as a reminder, open on their world, name the employer group, connect your product to the win, and make the ask. All right, we're all done. No, we're not done yet. I got examples. I can't leave you with just ideas. I have to spell it out for you. You guys are going to get, again, this is a replay. You'll get the deck so you can have that. The worksheet, I'll send it again. And couple bonuses will come along after. I'm not even going to name them. They're just going to show up in your inbox. So this is what we're going to build off of. Okay. So here's one. So let's just take a pharmacy benefit manager, for example. And again, this could be any one of you. But you can get the gist of it. So the message opens up with something like this, and I'm gonna expand this even further. I'm gonna show the the entire email here in a few minutes. Let me take a drink of water. I'm talking too much. First one starts off this way. I have helped a few benefits advisors win mid-market manufacturing groups in the 2 to 500 employee range that they've been struggling to crack. And I believe a similar strategy could help you to win. And then you put in the specific employer group by name. And then what do you bring to the table? Well, here's 2 examples of what a PBM could be bringing to an employer group. Number 1, we'll offer a pharmacy cost analysis showing the employer exactly where they're overpaying and what it would take to fix it. By the way, if you are in the PBM world, you should be able to show that without getting any data. You should be able to look at the industry, the approximate size of the employer, do a little bit more research, know who you've succeeded for in the past, and you should be able to offer some general analysis of what that employer or where that employer could be overpaying. Okay? This is not about getting down to specifics. This is giving ideas. Another one. We can offer a side-by-side comparison of their current plan versus what a redesigned pharmacy benefit could save them over 12 months. Again, even on freaking MyEdge, you can see the carrier that they're using. You probably know, based on the carrier, the vendors that they're using for some of this stuff. You know what common pricing is in this area. And here's what's great, guys. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you have a broker that is targeting 15 prospects just like this, you can use the same dang strategy over and over and over and over again. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. But these 2 tools will give that advisor an opportunity to reopen the door and get back in front of a group. Maybe a group that's already said no to them. Like they've already been rejected. And you're like, oh, I got to wait for them to finally pick up the phone. Let me show you. Okay. So here's how maybe that email would look like, and I could rattle this exact same thing off as a voicemail. Hey, John, I've helped a few benefits advisors win mid-market manufacturing groups in the 2 to 500 employee range that they had been struggling to crack. The way we did it was by giving them 2 things most of their competitors were not bringing to the table. First, a pharmacy cost analysis that showed the employer exactly where they were overpaying and what it would take to fix it. Second, a side-by-side comparison of their current plan versus what a redesigned pharmacy benefit could save them over 12 months. Those 2 tools gave the advisor a reason to get back in front of groups that had already told them no. I believe a similar strategy could work to help you win, insert employer name, in your market. Is that worth a 20-minute conversation to you? If a broker doesn't say yes to that, you probably don't want to work with them. Or you've sent them so much garbage in the past that they think this is just a bait and switch. And so you may have to work at it a little bit farther. But do you see how this gets straightforward to the point? I am going to show you exactly how to win the group. I'm going to show you exactly what it's take. And then when you get in and you sit, people are like, man, well, how does this benefit me if I'm just giving them ideas? Because if you just make sure that broker knows, hey, don't forget me. The one that helped you open that door. If there's an opportunity, can we partner on that together? Absolutely. And then guess what? Just like my client, the pharmacy consultant, if you show them how to win one, they're going to open up that book because they want you to do it for them. Here's a second example, because again, this isn't always, it's not always uniform. So this is a similar messaging to what we use for one of our virtual care clients, actually the one that was in the testimonial. And so here's the opening message. I've helped a few benefits advisors win self-funded employers in the 100 to 300 employee range who were frustrated with rising claims costs, but did not know where to start. And I believe a similar strategy could help you to win employer name. What they're bringing to the table in an example like this is a virtual care utilization model showing a projected reduction in unnecessary ER visits and urgent care claims in year one, and a simple employee engagement plan that gave the employer confidence their people would actually use it. So again, turning that into something that we can use, and hopefully you guys are following along here. Are you seeing? This is when I wish we were in a live room, because I like to see the wheels turning. I like to see that you're like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I can see how this works for me. You guys, this works. So here's how we would break this down. And then I'm going to take a breath as we move on to the next slide, because I want to give you guys an opportunity to think through how you can do this for yourself. So here it is. I've helped a few benefits advisors win self-funded employers in the 100 to 300 employee range who were frustrated with rising claims costs, but did not know where to start. The advisors that I work with brought two specific things into that conversation that made them stand out. A virtual care utilization model that showed the employer projected reduction in unnecessary ER visits and urgent care claims in year one, and a simple employee engagement plan that gave the employer confidence their people would actually use it. Those two things turned a skeptical employer into a buyer and gave the advisor a deal they had been chasing for months. By the way, do you guys see what's happening here? Like, I am reinforcing over and over and over again that these tools are being implemented to help you, the broker, win. I've helped benefits advisors win. The advisors I work with brought two specific strategies that made them stand out. These two things turned a skeptical employer into a buyer, which the broker's like, oh my gosh, I want that. Gave the advisor a deal they'd been chasing for months. You know how many deals these advisors are chasing? They're looking for any freaking hack. You can help them with that hack. I believe a similar strategy could help you to win. Name the employer in their area that you found that aligns with those three things. Is this worth a 20-minute conversation with you? Right down there at the bottom, what we could really put is, you would be crazy to not take 20 minutes with. I mean, who doesn't want to win more business? Now, I get some solutions providers. I'm going to come back to this in a second, but I get some solutions providers that will say to me sometimes, man, look, I need the book of business. I need the big win. How many of you started small? How many of you started with maybe one 20 life group, and then you got 100 life group? Then you got there's a thumbs up. This resonates with you. Then your first 500 life group. Then you signed on a whole health plan. Look I know that slaying the dragon, winning the Super Bowl is everybody's dream. But if we are not consistently creating new business opportunities for ourselves, then we need to consider that we need to go back to what got us here in the first place. Now, I'm not talking about chasing small deals. I'm not talking about chasing garbage. But what I am saying is we need to go back to the fundamentals of, I don't need your entire book of business right now, but trust me when I tell you, the way I'm going to help you win, you're going to want to give it all to me later. That's the mindset that we need to have. That's the attitude that we need to take into our sales conversations every single day. That's the way we need to build our calendar. That's how we need to discipline ourselves. We cannot continue to chase the whale if we aren't consistently landing them. We need to build momentum. And by the way, if you win, an individual 150 or 200 life case with one broker in a large agency of 20 brokers with hundreds or thousands of employer cases, don't you think word's going to eventually get around? I've watched it happen. For some of my solutions providers clients, I've watched them start with a little, and all of a sudden they're overflowing. I've watched with some of my agency clients and my broker clients, I've watched as they gave a chance to a new solutions provider on one deal that they went and won together. And that turned into an incredible relationship. And by the way, here's another thing that I did not address. You know, you have a lot of competition. I know you know that, but you have multiple people in the marketplace that do what you do, or some version of what you do. Even if you have something that's unique or proprietary, it looks very similar at face value. But that's not your only competition. See, we're competing for attention, the attention of the broker. Do you know that you're competing for the attention of the broker with me? You and I are competition if we're both trying to win broker clients over. Because I want to talk to that broker too about how I can help them generate more revenue. And so think about this. If they only have an hour to meet with somebody, 30 minutes, let's call it 30 minutes. They got 30 minutes to meet with somebody, and they're looking through all the emails that came into their inbox, and you're pitching them on a product that their book of business could use to radically transform how it currently operates. And I'm pitching them on how I can show them how to set 2 more appointments a week. And then I give them the strategy in the email. Which appointment do you think they're going to take? And not because they like me, because they like money. They like winning. They like growth. I mean, that's why we're all in business. And so we are all competing for the attention of the broker. You're competing against other solutions providers, TPAs, PBMs, pharmacy consultants, ancillary carriers, technology vendors, you name it. You are competing against them for attention. And so you need to stand out, which is why we come back to reminding you that we have to open on their world, not on ours. We have to name, we need to be specific about who we are going to help them win. So they are like, oh, they actually mean business because they want to win somebody in my market. 3, we are going to talk about our product and service, but only in as much as it can help them on their path to win more business. And we are going to give them the strategy. We're going to give them the ideas. Again, when I go back to this here and down in the bottom box or here in the bottom box, these are just scratching the surface. Over the course of 14 touches in 40 days, which is again the outreach strategy that we create for our clients, when we build this for them, we build this into their 1440. So even if they don't respond to this message, let me tell you, most of them are going to crack before we get to touch 14. And if they don't, they're going to tell us to kick rocks. And you want to know what's great about that? Is I'll kick rocks because I don't want to waste my time chasing some broker that doesn't want to do business with me, that doesn't see the value in what I have to provide. There are thousands and thousands of brokers around this country, thousands and thousands of brokers around this country, thousands of agencies around this country. All you guys need to do is find the ones that are going to be the most lucrative for you, and then you need to go all. None of y'all need that many. You just need the right ones. So let's compete for attention, and let's make sure that we are the ones that are standing out when we do that. So I just want to explain a little bit about why this is so important, okay? So if you were a client of ours, these are the 4 steps. These are the 4 pieces of our sales operating system that we create for all of our agencies, all of our solutions providers, and all of our sales clients. And I want to explain this because I want you to understand how this fits. This is not as much of a sales pitch, though. If you're on this call, I would love for the opportunity to work with you if we're not working together. You can email me, ryan@ryanjamesmiller.com, if you want to learn more about how we help organizations as well as individuals to build these systems out. But I want to talk to you about the 4 components. This is actually called our pipeline power system, which is inside of our sales operating system. That's the larger system. But the pipeline power system consists of these 4 components. And I want to talk to you about why these are so important and how the strategy that I've been sharing with you, how this fits. And hopefully you're taking notes. Hopefully you're building along the way. But here's what's really important. See, there's 4 components, 3 really that are necessary. This 4th one, number 4, is a bonus. We need to know exactly who to go after and why. We need to be very, very clear about who our targets are. In the same way that we need to know who our broker's targets are, we need to know who our targets are. And most sales professionals and organizations that I engage with are not that clear on who their ideal client is when we first start working together. This is about demographics and psychographics. This is about getting super duper clear. I mean, if you can figure out what your prospect loves to eat for lunch, man, that is a win. The more we know, the better. 2, talked a lot about the 1440. So again, if I know my target, that's why I was explaining why this is important to what we're building today. If I know my target, then I can build this, right? These examples. I can build these better. As a matter of fact, I really can't build these at all if I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know who my broker target is, who my ideal prospect is. So that's why the target lock is so important. The 1440 is a systematic, disciplined approach to win the first appointment. This is what we build to ensure that our clients are consistently landing qualified appointments, first appointments with qualified prospects. 14 touches, 40 days, spread across a variety of mediums: email, phone call, snail mail, in-person meetings or in-person drops, social. There's a lot of different things that we incorporate into here. There is a method to this madness, both in the cadence and the messaging. It's not just about 14 touches in 40 days. But I learned this one a long time ago because most salespeople a decade ago, 20 years ago, actually, when I started in sales, shoot, more than that, 27 years ago. 27 years ago, I started in sales. Holy smokes. 1999 was my first sales job. Anyway, so back then, I was taught that salespeople were quitting after 2 touches, when in reality, back then, a prospect wasn't responding to you until the 5th or 7th, between 5 and 7 touches, so we can just call it 6. But in the age of noise, that's what I call it right now, with so much information out there, with our prospects being inundated, with us being inundated with so many things, it's harder and harder to reach people. So you have to do a better job of standing out, and you have to be more persistent and consistent in your pursuit until you either get told to get lost, kick rocks, or they're ready to meet with you. And so that's what the 1440 is about. It's a relentless pursuit of our prospect until they cry uncle. The third thing that we create is something called the value cadence system. So many of you are going to resonate with this. This is actually one of the biggest challenges that my solutions providers clients face, is getting the first appointment or getting the demo, having it, and actually even hearing from the broker, man, that was amazing. Wow, I really loved what you had to offer. And then crickets. Maybe even worse, you said, oh, just send me over some data and I'll do an analysis. So what the VCS is, the value cadence system, it is a system that we have created to ensure that we stay engaged by continuing to build rapport and provide value to our prospective clients after that first meeting. And so we build that system out. Again, it's part of the pipeline power system, but we build this out to make sure that you know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. So there's no guesswork, or there's definitely, by the way, here's a bonus for you. Never say follow up or check in when you're reaching back out to a prospect that you've previously met with. Those are the kisses of death. Those phrases, you might as well just say, I don't have anything to say to you and I have nothing to add to you, so can you please just get back to me? It's so pathetic. I'm sorry to say that, but it is just so bad. So the VCS prevents you from saying following up or checking in. It gives you a consistent way to reach back out. And then the fourth piece that we love to build into this is the force multiplier. These are some AI tools that we've created, also some AI strategies and prompting that we provide to our clients. All this does is multiplies output and increases conversion rates. This takes all that we learn and know and curates it in one specific spot so I can create messaging that is going to be as effective as humanly possible. So I can follow up in a timely manner. So I can do outreach as I need to. So I don't have to reinvent the wheel every freaking time that I prospect. But at the same time, so I don't copy and paste generic templates that half the time I end up accidentally leaving the wrong person's name. I mean, you guys, AI is never going to replace you. Can I get an amen to that? You are never going to be replaced, because in the day and age that we're in right now, the most successful salespeople are the salespeople that can be the most human. I've said that multiple times over the last 2 years, and I'm a massive advocate of AI. It is in every component of our business but one. That's the human-to-human interaction. There is nothing better than us going face to face. There is nothing better than the feel and touch of another human being. And I mean that in the most appropriate way possible. The handshake, the hug, that interaction cannot be replicated and never will be replicated, which is why you need to make sure, which is why we make sure that in the 1440 and the VCS that we include human interaction with those. And you're like, Ryan, how do you do that virtually? How do you do that digitally? Trust me, we do. But at the same time, all your notes can be taken by AI. All your notes can be curated by AI. Your messaging templates can be created by AI. There is so much that can be done. I have spent tens of thousands of hours over the last 2 years deeply researching this to not only understand it for my own business, but to help my clients and equip them in the same ways. All 4 of these things together create an unstoppable force. Now, I want to preface this. It doesn't make sales any easier. This is a hard damn job. It doesn't make insurance sales any easier. This industry is really damn hard to successfully sell in. But I'm telling you what it does. It helps you to become more disciplined and more consistent. And if you can be both of those things, and you've got a great product and or a great service, you articulate that well, and you speak to people that you can get to know you, like you, and trust you, you will succeed at a greater rate than others. And we have proven that time and time again with the organizations that we work with. But it's not going to work if you just show up on a webinar and listen to me jabber for an hour and 5 minutes. It works because you take what you heard today, and if you found it valuable, which I pray to God that it did, because even though it was $47, I treated this like it was $4,700. I hope and pray that you can take what you learned today and you can apply that, and you can go right now, even for y'all East Coasters, 3:37 in the afternoon. You can go right now and you can create your first message. You can create your first unique outreach to a specific broker. Now, you may have to go do some research in Employer or in Zywave, so it may take a little bit of time, but you can start to lay out the framework of your messaging. You guys, this is so stinking important. If you need more help with this, I wouldn't be a salesperson if I didn't invite you into my world. There's 2 ways that we engage with individuals and organizations just like yours. One is through a group cohort. If you want to build your pipeline power system, you want to do that in a community of other individuals just like you. We've got both recorded resources and live group coaching calls that we provide. We are opening up our next cohort. It'll go live here in a couple of weeks. For those of you that will watch this on replay, that date obviously is going to be a little bit different. But if you have any questions on doing this as a group and doing this in community with others, you can email Ryan at Ryan James Miller. I'd be more than happy to share that with you. If you're like, no, Ryan, I'm ready. I need to get going right now. I need to sprint to build out my entire pipeline power system as fast as humanly possible. That's a 90-day engagement that we work with individual producers on, individual sales professionals on. We can also do this for organizations. And so if that's something that you're interested in talking about, you can reach out to me again, Ryan at ryanjamesmiller.com. I'd be more than happy to share with you what that looks like, what the investment looks like, and how I believe it can be effective for your specific organization. And if I can't help you, I'm going to tell you that. Chances are I probably can, because we've been doing this now for so long in this industry, but you never know. We may not vibe, and that's okay too. Okay, so what do we do with all this? Well, we take this to heart right here. The brokers that you want to work with, the brokers that you want to do business with, the brokers that you want to, build a life with, are not ignoring you because your product isn't good enough. They're ignoring you because no one has showed them that you understand their world. And again, you may be saying to yourself, Ryan, I've done that. I've told them that, like, I can show them how to help their clients. Yes, but have you actually spoken to the thing that keeps them up at night, which is growing their book of business? I hope and pray that you learned how to do just that, that you learned a new way, I believe the best way, but you learned a new way to show them that you understand their world and you want to change it. So with that, thank you guys so much for investing the time with me today. Thank you for contributing your hard-earned money. I do not take that lightly, regardless of how much money that is. I will be reaching out, or I will be sharing with each of you that registered with the recap, with a link to the replay, with the deck, with a copy of the worksheet again, and with a couple of other really cool things that I think will be helpful for you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please DM me on social if that's how we're connected. LinkedIn is probably the way, or you can email, I'll say it again, Ryan at ryanjamesmiller.com. Thank you guys so much. I love what I do. I love that I get to help you guys win. I hope you go out and win, and I hope you hear a story of some way that this specific session, this specific workshop helped you to win even just one more new business opportunity. So hey, go out there, slay that dragon. Peace.